What's up, holiday true believers? It is I, your favorite Scrooge, the OG GM, desperate in need of a haircut, but it's no shave November, so I'm not shaving or cutting my hair till we hit 900 subs. We're at 895 about right now, so just need 5 more subs, and you never have to see this again. It is Tuesday. It is about 8 o'clock in the morning. It is the 8th day of November 2022. It looks like it is sort of raining. We got some amazing cloud cover here at Site B. Rained all night, so of course the sprinklers went on because, yeah, it's raining. So perfect time for the sprinklers to go on. We are continuing our gift-giving guide for the tabletop role-playing gamer in your life. Some suggestions for what do you get the tabletop role-playing gamer in your life who has everything, or who is starting out, or you're just like, I've got this person in my life who plays this game that I completely do not understand, and I've got to get them a gift. What should I get them? So yesterday we did recommended tabletop role-playing game campaign settings, and I kind of was thinking from the point of view of somebody who is just starting to play, and I want to get these campaign things, and what's the best campaign that I could get them. And my answer was, probably just go with an adventure path from Paizo, or a complete beginning, middle, end module type thing. So today's theme is best books, which is sort of continuation of yesterday. What are the best books / campaign settings / things I could get the tabletop role-playing gamer in my life? So we have some further suggestions for books / campaign settings. These are a little bit more niche. These are a little bit more designed for the person who's already been doing this for a bit. So if you're into swashbuckling on the high seas, like I am, you might try the Razor Coast setting by Frog God Games, which I absolutely love, or Freeport, which I am doing a deep dive into all this month. Possibly my favorite tabletop role-playing game setting, and it's perfect for 5e because what's more over-the-top Saturday morning cartoon, borderline fantasy superheroes than pirates? If you're into more Viking kind of things, we have a suggestion you might try the Northland Sagas, also from Frog God Games, or Vossen from Free League. Kobold Press's Midgard setting has won multiple awards, and it's a good alternative to the Forgotten Realms. Then there's some more, obscure ones that you might consider, like Iron Kingdoms, Level Up 5e, stuff like that. So, steering away from the Wizards of the Coast and going over to my vast library of stuff I bought when Cess Games and Anime was closing. What are the top books I think every gamer should have, every game I would recommend? And so obviously number 1 on my list, if you haven't been watching my channel, you will know that I'm going to recommend this, Call of Cthulhu. In fact, if there is only one tabletop role-playing game book in your library that isn't the basic set for whatever game you're playing, i.e. if you're playing 5e, you should have the basic set, or at least the player's handbook for 5e. If you're playing, Champions, you should have the basic set for Champions. If you're playing Star Wars, you should have the basic set for Star Wars. Whatever game you're playing, you should own at least the player's handbook. But minus that, if there's one go-to I think should be on every tabletop role-playing gamer's shelf, it's this. Not only it is the number 1 selling role-playing game in the world, not only it is the number 1 popular role-playing game in the world, it is in Dungeons & Dragons. And remember, I'm talking the world. I'm not just talking the United States, We look at the entire world. I mean, the population of Asia compared to the population of the United States is like comparing the population of here, where I live, to the population of New York, okay? So Europe and Asia, South America, most popular, number 1 selling. Yeah, often considered one of, if not the best written role-playing game ever. Not because of the setting, Lovecraft, because, on the surface, playing a Call of Cthulhu role-playing game seems sort of counterproductive. I make a character, the character goes on the adventure, the character goes insane, or decides there never should be go out again because the world's scary. No, it's because the system for Call of Cthulhu is so easily adaptable to any other genre. You can run anything using the system in here. Like this is my go-to desert island game system. If I had, this or the West End Games D6 system, or the Mutant Year Zero D6 system, but just because they're so infinitely adaptable. But if there was like one book I would recommend, like this is it. Some version of the Call of Cthulhu basic rules. Now, if there's a second book that I think every player should have, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, we should all get a copy of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, 1st edition, any edition you could find. You can find this on drive-thru, print on demand for like $20. This is the 2nd edition. Some people said I should have gotten the 1st edition, but this was the one I could get that was cheapest. But if you can find a copy of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition, I would highly recommend this. I mean, even Scott Garrity said that every 5e player should secretly really play Advanced D&D and read D&D. So, and Jeannie D has said the same thing. So, if the biggest troll in the world for D&D has said you should actually really be playing this instead of 5e, then yeah, this would be the game I would recommend. Another book I think you should all have, maybe if you can, and this one's pretty easy to find, and it's on sale right now. Bam! Gary Gygax's Legacy. The last thing Gygax worked on before he passed away. The thing that everybody, except for one person, agrees upon is the true legacy, the true continuation of Dungeons & Dragons as said by Gary Gygax, as said by Luke Gygax, as said by Ernie Gygax, as said by people who have met him and knew him and worked with him, friends and family, up to the day he died. This is the continuation of Gygax's legacy. Not 5e, because 5e doesn't even recognize Gary Gygax. Wizards of the Coast never mentions Gygax anywhere. Nowhere is he mentioned in the one D&D playtest. This is another one. Now getting to even more obscure. If there is another one I would recommend that I think you should have, Blades in the Dark. Not that this is a great system. It's an interesting system, but the world building ideas in Blades in the Dark, the ideas of NPCs and factions and cities and government and what happens during downtime and just this is just a guide to world creation. Okay. Going further, if you can find Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Number, neither of which I own a copy of. I had a copy of Stars Without Number, but I gave it to a friend, and then that friend moved, so I never got it back. But yes, so I'm trying to get a new copy of Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Number. So that would be the top of my list for 2023 for gaming bias. I have spent all my gaming money for 2022, even though there's tons of things that I would recommend and want to get my hands on. But yeah, if you could get a copy of Stars Without Number or World Without Number, again, not only are these great game systems, but they're great guides. They're great, like here is something you should mine for just ideas on how to build worlds and how to build games and how to build NPCs and how to build politics and how to build stuff. So that would be another one I would recommend for just books. Tabletop Role-Playing Game of the Year. Would I recommend the Tabletop Role-Playing Game of the Year? Since the Tabletop Role-Playing Game of the Year was Call of Cthulhu, of course I would recommend it. The other Tabletop Role-Playing Game of the Year, Nebula Award-winning Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Would I recommend that? Without the politics attached to it, it's an okay idea for a game, but no, I wouldn't recommend it. Would I recommend last year's Alice is Missing? No, probably not. Would I recommend the year before Tabletop Role-Playing Game of the Year, Mork Borg? Probably not. Because Mork Borg is just so niche, and really the reason why it won is not because it was a brilliant system, but because of the artwork and the ideas and just sort of that everybody was really into grim, dark role-playing. Hindsight being 2020, I don't think it should have won Game of the Year. I don't think Alice is Missing should have won Game of the Year, and I really don't think Thirsty Sword Lesbian should have gotten Game of the Year. But politics and everything else. But yeah, none of those would I recommend. But now if we're going into other genres besides just fantasy or just the one game I think everybody should own, are there anything else, books I would recommend. West End Games D6 Star Wars, of course, I would highly recommend over any other version of Star Wars. And it's recently had a re-released anniversary edition for like $50 if you can still find it. I would recommend that. If we're going superheroes, if you want to go D20 superheroes, Mutant Masterminds 3rd edition. If you want to go other superheroes besides, a superhero role-playing game based upon the OGL, Villains and Vigilantes or Champions or Masks. And if you just want to go with, what I think is the best superhero role-playing game ever, of course, that's Marvel Phase Rip, my go-to. But bottom line, recommend books for 2022 holiday season. If there's only one game that should be on the shelf of every tabletop role-playing gamer, it is basic role-playing from Chaosium / Call of Cthulhu. If there's only 2 games you're going to have a tabletop role-playing gamer, it should be Chaosium's basic role-playing / Call of Cthulhu, and then a D6 system. And if I'm going to go, 50% D6 system, I would say West End Games, D6 Star Wars, amazing system, infinitely adaptable. And the other one, of course, is Free League Publishing's Mutant Year Zero / Tales from the Loop / Coriolis. The Mutant Year Zero is another infinitely adaptable D6 system. In fact, I'm just waiting to see if they do a superhero system with Mutant Year Zero. But yeah. And then I also think Blades in the Dark and Stars Without Number, Worlds Without Number are all games you should have on your shelf if you can find a copy of them. And there's probably others, I'd recommend Hank's index card role-playing game because 1, I love everything Hank does, and 2, index card role-playing game is also one that's sort of infinitely adaptable and easy to run, if a little weird. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, everybody should have a copy of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Even, people like Jeannie D and Scott Garrity have secretly said, oh, you should, instead of playing 5e, you should be playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And of course, if you want to see the true legacy of Gary Gygax's Castles and Crusades from Troll Lord Games, it's on sale right now. And it is the last thing Gygax worked on. It is the last thing that he felt was the next continuation of what he thought Dungeons & Dragons should be after AD&D. Both his sons have said it. Everybody who's worked with him has said it. Almost everybody in the industry has said it. Almost all the OSR has said it. I mean, there's a few individuals who will argue that 5e is Gygax's legacy. Except, of course, Wizards of the Coast has said, no, it's not. So, yeah. Hasbro has said 5e is not has nothing to do with Gygax. Wizards of the Coast has said it has nothing to do with Gygax. But what do they know about D&D, right? So that is my recommended books / recommended campaign settings for 2022 for the holidays. Tomorrow we're going to be doing gifts under $25. So if you have any recommendations for must-have campaign settings, must-have books for the tabletop role-playing gamer in your life, or you'd like to get for the holidays. And then tomorrow we're going to do gifts under $25. If you appreciate this, let me know. If you want to do more ideas like this in the future going into 2023, let me know. If you want to see me shave this, then subscribe. And of course, ignore everything I just said over the past 15 minutes, because the only holiday gift you should get the tabletop role-playing gamer in your life is OGGM merch. That's right, OGGM clothing, the West Coast Grognard clothing line, copyright 2022, OGGM / Michael L. Strauss / Team Primetime. So, anybody who's bad-mouthing me and saying, West Coast Grognard, better be careful, because that's violating my copyright and my trademark, you fucking marks. And, of course, the Fistful of Minions adventures that I'm writing that are exclusively on Big Geek Emporium till the end of 2022. I'm not going to put them up anywhere else until 2023. So if you want to get on the beginning of the OGGM Fistful of Minions adventure ideas, check them out. Big Geek Emporium, doing monthly Munster zines and a few adventures and some other stuff coming up. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. Like, share, subscribe, stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. Stay off my land, you damn marks.